Alright, since I'm not here today, or I have to leave for a track meet, I'm gonna show you how to do the last two auxiliary drawings on the front side of the sheet, the heat shield and the spacer. I'll start, again, most of you will open up your title. I'm just gonna use this one, this is the first one I had open. Make sure you update your title and all that, so I'll do it just as a reminder for certain people. Heat shields first. 330, and I believe this is the 30th drawing. Maybe wrong on that, but it's close. Alright, so starting out, do your two normal views, just like it's on the paper, all the dimensions they have for you. I'm going to make my right side first, so it's 2 by 2.5. And I can use that then to start my front view. It is 3 inches, same height, so it'd be 2.5. Again, it's cut on a 45. By touch, line up, bring it over, and there we go. Now, to make life simpler, I'm going to add in some center lines because there's a circle going through here. Basically, it's a rectangle with the hole drilled through the center. Bring one over. Alright, go to Object, Diameter, and it tells me on the paper the diameter is 1.5 inches. So I have my circle. So I have my two views. Let me move this over just a hair. Alright, so I'm going to move relatively quickly. Bring over the top. Again, this is a hole drilled through, so I can't see it because it's internal, so they're hidden lines. Alright, so I'm going to offset. I'm going to offset some distance. When I say some distance, here's a little hint clue for all fans out there. I just do a 1/2 inch. Alright, now I'm going to offset for the width here. It's 2, so I offset 2. Click on this one, bring it over. Close in the top, close in the bottom. Alright, now, where the hidden line hits the angled face, I'm going to bring it up and across. I will trim it so I can use the midpoint to make my lips. Here's the part where people usually skip or mess up on. Alright, I can do the lips right now without adding any other lines. I go midpoint at the top to midpoint at the bottom. Now, people will tend to just click here on the side, but if you look, the circle doesn't go all the way out to the side. So I can type in this distance, the horizontal diameter and radius don't change. So if it's a diameter of 1.5 inches, the radius would be 3/4, 0.75. So I'll just type that in. I have my lips. I can get rid of these two lines, and I have that whole front face. Front's done, now I just gotta do the back. Bring up and across the top, the bottom, and then where the hidden lines hit on the back face. Alright, this line and the top edge line up, so that's fine. I'm going to extend the width up to the topmost line because width doesn't change. I will trim all of these lines. So just going across, that way I can use, just like I did before, the midpoint. Alright, this bottom edge is down here. I can't see any part of it so it will be hidden. The top edge I can see. This section here is this flat here. This line and this line and this corner all line up together. So I'm going to do midpoint, midpoint for my ellipse. Again, axis end, mid, mid, type in radius. Same, doesn't change, 0.75. And I connect widest point of ellipse to widest point of ellipse. Let me get rid of these guidelines. The bottom one, the top one is this edge here, so you're going to want to leave it. Alright, this front stretched out ellipse, you can see the whole thing's object. This one on the back, the majority of it is going to be hidden. Alright, you're only going to be able to see this little bit here. So, kind of like we did on the truncated cylinder, I'm going to trim part of it. Now I'm going to trim the smaller part because that makes sense, so that I don't copy or mirror over this little nubbin of a thing and try and get it in the right spot and stretch it back at its paint. This is easier. This should be hidden, so I'll change it to that. These sides will also be hidden. I'll do those at the same time. Alright, this top, I'm going to click mirror. I'm going to click on the ellipse, hit enter. Now where these lines meet, basically going across the midpoint, the widest point, I will click, hit enter, and then you have two of them. Click on the bottom one, change it to object. That way you can tell the difference between the two. Now the object one I also have to trim back. It's just trimming the opposite part. Trim it like that, and there we go. Hidden for the back. Little part I can see through. This little bit here is where I can see looking straight down through the whole object. Last things are dimensions. I'll do them quickly. 2.5. I have a 3. Let me do the angle. Should be a 45. Right here should be 2. I'll throw in a couple to the midpoint just so it's nice and clear and easy to do. There we go. I want to do diameter, and I'm all good. Let me double check. Have the height there. Yep, I'm all good. The only other thing I want to do is I want to do an aligned. I'm going to go from this corner to this corner, and you should come up the same, basically from here to here. Alright, so that is the heat shield. Now I'm just going to delete this one. I'm going to do the next one, the spacer, on the same sheet. I'm going to start with a circle. Alright, this one's labeled with radius, so I'll do it that way. It's a radius of 1. Alright, now come from the midpoint and all the way down to the bottom is 1.5 inches. 2 over. Connect back up, and then I'll trim bottom half of the circle over. Now it's also notched out, so I'm going to come up 0.5 over 0.5 and down. And I'll mirror that to the other side. You can also do it from scratch, doesn't really matter. Trim the corners. I'll add in a center line, so again it's easy to follow. Alright, now for the front view, I go back to object, bottom, 3 over, yep, the height I will just bring over from my right side view. Again on a 45. Bring this corner over. And then here's the one that most people are going to forget and it's going to mess with them. Make sure you bring this center line over because you're going to need that for the ellipse. Alright, two views done. Going to start making my auxiliary. Offset some distance. Offset the width. Let me go back to object. Close the top. Close the bottom. Alright, I'm going to bring this line up and across, and this line up and across. I'll trim them again to let me use the midpoints. Alright, I'm going to do the notches first. This comes in a 1/2 inch and then goes down to the bottom edge. Again, this distance doesn't change. This distance going this way gets stretched out. So I'll do the same thing, 0.5, connect it down. I can delete that one. Now, we're doing the ellipse. Axis end. I'm going to go side to side for where the center line is and up to the midpoint of the top. So just kind of switching directions from the last one. Trim the bottom off. Trim these sides. And trim these corners. And the front part is all done. Now I'll do the back. Bring up this point, here, and the bottom. So same ones I brought up for the front. The width doesn't change, so let me just extend that all the way up. Check and make sure. Yep, 2 inches still. I'm going to trim the extra here, and here. I'm going to do these in hidden because some of this will be hidden at least. Alright, I'm going to do the notch. Alright, the notch will come in a 1/2 inch and it will come down and connect there. You can also connect it all the way down here. So you could also go from here and go all the way up to that line and connect out to the edge. Either way will work. They're hidden because they're going to be underneath the wide part, so you're not going to see it there. This edge here, you're going to have a hidden line going from skinny to skinny. And I can just delete that. So this is this back corner, comes out, that's this corner. Now this is where the wide part of the ellipse is going to be. Ellipse I'll be able to see, so go back to object. Again, wide to wide, the midpoint of the top. Trim off the bottom. Delete that line. Delete that one. And trim the sides here. And that is, make sure, oh, don't forget to delete that one. And that one is the spacer. Again, I'll add a couple dimensions. Probably going to run out of time here because I'm limited to 15 minutes. But you got your 3. You do the angle here. Main one we'll do an aligned, and then I'll stop it for you. You should be able to dimension them by now, hopefully. But that's this one.